This is the Patriots Prayer Podcast. It's a tremendous show, one of the greatest shows in the history of the world.
This is Bryson Gray, and you are watching the Patriots Prayer.
Soon on the Patriots Prayer Network. Thank you all.
America's falling, they all say. Gather the faithful now and pray. The Patriots Prayer. The Patriots Prayer. All the wicks are trimmed, oil is filled to the brim. I haven't changed yet somehow. I'm the radical now. America's falling, they all say. Gather the faithful now and pray. The Patriots Prayer.
All right, we're live here with Michaela Montgomery, and we have Mark Fitzpatrick here, the owner of the Old State Saloon down here in Eagle, Idaho.
Hey, from Miami.
Right on.
I don't know if y'all heard, but we just got started. So, hey, we want y'all to hear us. You know Royale.
So this
Where my
is
oil
the
at,
opening
Roy?
podcast for Conserve the Culture. Everybody's been dying to hear Michaela's thoughts on a million different topics. Whether she's got a feisty personality and is ready to speak about it. But
And is. Thank you.
we have Eddie joining us now, but I really wanted to get Mark up here and ask him a couple questions about the Old State Saloon itself. One of the most beautiful things that I learned about this community and this bar is that instead of just going against something like Pride Month, Mark wanted to build something for the community to circle around in. And have a heterosexual awesomeness month, which was absolutely incredible. He was having a way to bring people together around a positive thing instead of just putting everybody else down. And that's the kind of community that I wish to inspire for, whether it be bars all around the country, doing the same thing, where they're actually able to bring the community together around a positive thing and have it be God-oriented as well. So what inspired you, Mark, to actually have that month called Heterosexual Awesomeness Month?
All right, so I am a bit of a marketer for sure. We're going into June, and this is not anything that's abnormal. The local folks here will tell you this is not anything totally abnormal for Old State Saloon to do. Because we like to do events that glorify God and that are constitutional and conservative in nature, and we like to bring those events live in front of a local audience. And so as we're looking at June, we're thinking, hey, what are we gonna do here? This is basically a month where people are celebrating sex, in these different ways. And I thought, how did God design sex? And I thought a little bit about that and how awesome that design is. It really is awesome. Man and woman, procreation, companionship. It's so awesome she's choking. That's how awesome it is.
Oh my God, that was hilarious.
And so I'm thinking the way God designed things, it's truly awesome. That's a great word. So when you take heterosexual and you take awesomeness and you put them together, nobody before has ever done anything with those two words on the internet before, I discovered. So I thought, hey, these will be some good words to put together because everybody will be able to find what we're doing. So we moved forward with Heterosexual Awesome Month to celebrate God's gift to us, heterosexuality.
Beautiful thing.
Did you hear about this, Michaela? For some reason, I don't have a mic.
No, I did not, but upon talking to Mr. Mark last night, I learned all about it. And I think that, And the same way that Pride Month will come around and people feel like, oh, I have to put my lifestyle in your face, I don't see anything wrong with you celebrating the way that other people decide to live their lives as well. I additionally feel like, LGBTQIA folks move the needle on a lot of things now. Like, you really can't say anything against them, but for whatever reason, if you say something about a heterosexual person, i.e. all the bullying I've been getting lately, it's completely okay, So I think that it's important that we definitely highlight ourselves, because while other people can identify as whatever they want and partake in whatever they want, we have the right to be just as proud of who we are as well.
Amen.
That's right.
All right.
That's right. That's right.
So I feel very honored to be. This is like your first official.
Yeah, it's gonna be
podcast.
like my first official episode. So hey, y'all, thank you for being a part of it.
I know you're supposed to probably ask me questions, but I have a question for you. Am I dressed okay?
Oh yes, you're just fine. I am just Beyonce. So if you guys can't tell, if I'm walking into a room, please believe we're gonna see a show. All right.
How long did it take you to get ready?
You'd be surprised. 30 minutes. I'm a
Nice.
pro at this now, baby. God just made me like this. He really showed off, okay?
And so, if I may, one more question. What do you think of Eagle, Idaho so far?
I think it's lit. So I haven't had any, I haven't sat down for real since I've been here. Came straight here as soon as we got in, got drunk, had some great times, played some pool, went home, don't even remember getting in the bed, woke up, saw all the hills and the wildlife. I was like, oh my God, look, white picket fences and everything. Like,
Too much honesty.
man, I love it. And I did come for the potatoes, so I'm trying French fries everywhere. I'm kind of sad you don't have some here, but I'm gonna let you live.
We will soon.
All right, but yeah, y'all, I like it here. I'll come back. I've never been here. This is my first time, so yeah, I'm enjoying myself.
So later tonight, Andrew Chappell's going to be here. He's a singer-songwriter, and the locals love him. And he does some covers on also some of his own music, and it's country and some rock. And my question for you is, will you be dancing?
I don't know if y'all ready for that. Look. 3 more of these and show me and these margaritas just might go ahead and turn this place up.
A margarita, is that really what they call it?
No, that's actually what my lovely followers are calling it on live. So.
Did she just coin a new drink?
I
A
think
margarita?
It's a good one.
Yeah.
And every time you order one, y'all better think of me, okay?
So we do have a special drink coming up this autumn, okay? And it is called Biden's Last Fall.
You got to tell me what's in the drink.
So that drink is basically going to be a lot like a mudslide.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
So what else?
Well, I've never done this before. So I guess I want to let's talk about guns, guys. I can imagine all of you guys here have a gun, correct?
I have one on me right now.
I like that.
I can't answer the question.
Heard that.
Right.
All right.
So Idaho is a true Second Amendment state. You can carry a gun whether you live in Idaho or not. If you're an American citizen and you come in Idaho, you can carry a gun concealed or open, and you don't have to have any special permit for it.
Imagine that. The Constitution at work.
Imagine that.
I believe they call that constitutional carry, correct?
It's constitutional carry, yeah.
So what would you guys as men, all of you guys have children, so the protectors and the providers of the family, what is your answer to the gun rights debate in regards to handling, I guess, mass shootings and how we handle things like that? What would your answer be? And I want to hear from each of you individually as protectors and providers of the home. What is your view on how you would protect your kids in a world without guns?
I can start. I see guns as, they are obviously inanimate objects. Guns are not inherently evil, and they're not inherently good. It's the same as in the story of David and Goliath. The rock itself was an object used to take Goliath down. And Cain and Abel, Cain used it to kill Abel. So those are two completely separate actions where one was great, the other evil, but the rock was the same. The rock, by banning the rock, it does not solve the problem of what was in Cain's heart. And by banning the rock, you would eliminate the possibility of David to ever defeat Goliath. So the only way to protect our children, the only way to protect our rights is to at least have that option. And when we ban those guns, and when they say the ban on assault rifles, or assault weapons,
Which they can't even define. What is
and they never will define it. But it is just the best opportunity to give us a chance at actually having our rights restored.
I like that. And you referenced the Bible. We love a godly man. Yes. All right, Mr. Mark, go ahead.
All right, so here at Old State Saloon, we give away guns. We give away guns at let's see, mainly on trivia nights, and they're going to be every couple months, and sometimes they're going to be on conspiracy theory trivia. And the one that we recently had was Rest in Peace California trivia. And so we give away these guns, and this gentleman over at a local paper, he wrote a very nice article about us. Well, actually it was a hit piece, but it was nice because when I asked how many people there that night were there because of that article, like half the room raised their hand. Because basically he wrote this whole article about how we're trying to kill children in schoolyards because we're giving away guns and silly things like that. So to answer your question was, how do I feel about a man who's protecting his family in our house? I feel that it is incumbent upon me to be able to do that, and I am by the Constitution allowed to have a gun. So therefore, it is basically a requirement for me as a protector for my family to have a weapon and to know a firearm and know how to use it properly so that I can protect my family. But not only that, that I can show my children and have them be educated and get training. One of them is back there behind the bar right now, and he's carrying a gun as well. But to have them be educated and trained on how to use a weapon to defend themselves, and how to use a firearm to defend themselves. So I feel it's critically important, and I feel that people who are not willing to take that responsibility, the people who are not willing to train themselves to do that, should pay extra taxes.
And Eddie, go ahead.
I think my answer is probably a lot simpler than theirs. I believe that amendment also says that there should be no law made. Congress shall make no law infringing your right to carry a gun. I think we've gotten really far away from where we started as a country. The Constitution is a lot like religion, right? So all of a sudden now we have a million different religions. We have one Bible. So just like that, when a man starts interpreting what the Constitution is, and we get so far away from what it was intended to be, I say, I don't care what man says. I don't care what the courts say. I don't care what any of them say. I care what my Constitution says. And that's the hill I'll die on, literally.
All right. So I like that. We got men in the house. They're all married, though. So sorry, ladies. You got to go outside and find you one. But so next, I want to know, let's talk about fear-mongering from the left and Project 2025.
Oh, yeah. Let me get this one.
Go ahead.
So, guys, how many people have heard the left going crazy about Project 2025? Like, just going absolutely stupid over this thing. Let me tell you why they're doing it. And you can look this up at home on your own time. There's a website called Democracy Forward, right? It's ran by a guy named Mark Elias. He was the guy that started the shenanigans about the election, Hillary Clinton, way back when. He basically is their ringer, the guy that they call in to cause all kinds of chaos and confusion. Well, Democracy Forward created something called a guide to Project 2025. It is not Project 2025. It is their interpretation of Project 2025. The left loves to convict people of thought crimes. They love to tell you what's in your heart, what's in your mind, why you made a specific decision, why you believe what it is you believe. But it is typically very far from the truth. So those things that you're hearing about a national abortion ban and about everyone having to be Christian and stuck in one state, not being able to leave to get an abortion, to go to all that stuff, all that is all left-wing propaganda. Project 2025 came out of a heritage group think tank, right? And
Heritage Foundation.
It basically is a bunch of people that sat down and said, how do we get our country back to its original national identity? Get it back to a country where burning our flag is not cheered. I saw a mom in California riding with her son on a bike, and I saw them stop at a lawn that was displaying the American flag. The son got off his bike, tore the flag down. The mom just sat there with a grin on her face, like so proud of what her son was doing. This is what they teach. It's trendy to hate your own country. It's like spitting in your own face. This has got to change, and that's what Project 2025 is. It's a think tank that got together and basically created laws and bylaws and rules that they want to see implemented in our culture to get us back to a country that loves and respects our flag, our heritage, and our history. That's the truth.
So let's dig a little deeper into that. Let's talk about the things that exist inside of Project 2025. So one of the things you just mentioned was the abortion ban. And while we mainly hear women talk about abortion, I think it's important that we get a men's, thought process on it as well. So in the same way that a woman will say, oh, you're taking away my right to choose because I can't get this abortion. If a woman decides that she doesn't want to have the baby, but the man does want the baby, why are his feelings disregarded? So men, how do you guys feel about these abortion restrictions? Because we know it's not going to be banned. But when it comes to restrictions, do you see any issue with a 6-week ban, or isn't this more of a personal accountability thing? And is it true that a lot of men don't want children and actually support abortion? So women should be getting abortion so that they can, I guess, find a husband.
My answer is real short on this one. When a baby is consumed in the womb, it's a life, and to end that life is murder. And so it's unacceptable under any circumstances.
Exactly right.
Exactly right. I would actually like to piggyback off that. And there's two reasons that we talk about abortions mostly. One is the destruction of the family, and the other is the removal of God. So in 1962, when the United States Supreme Court removed God from all institutions, it boiled down marriage between two people, and our society, the nuclear family, has been under attack for a very long time. So just the fact that we even have to talk about abortion in this way is because the men they're not using the women for a lifelong partner, to be in a covenant under God, to be fruitful and multiply. They're using them for their own selfish pleasures. And that has led to where we are today with that.
Yeah.
We stopped talking about human rights and we're talking about women's rights because they specifically disregard the entire life of the baby. And if we bring up human rights, as Mark was saying, that there is a flash of light when the egg is fertilized, it is called the zinc spark. And there is an actual flash of light that happens when that egg becomes fertilized. And I believe that that's when we are endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights. And that's when we should recognize them. This isn't about women's rights. This is about when we should begin recognizing human rights, because any stage after that is a stage that every single person in this room and in this country has gone through. All of us have gone through every stage after that. And to discount life at any stage after that point is murder.
Yeah. Agreed. But let me ask you a question. So you asked, should we be okay with the restriction, the 6-week restriction and these things? And I agree with everything that these guys set up here so far. Abortion's murder. I'm pretty much an absolutist in that the baby is always, no matter what, an innocent third party. That's exactly how I feel about it. But here's the thing: a lot of Republicans didn't want to vote for a time. They didn't want to set a limit. A lot of them didn't. So in fact, when that happened, you have a lot of leftists that are pushing to have abortions at 9 months, or even in Montana, post-birth, right?
Oh.
So in that instance, would you at least be okay with drawing a line in the sand and saying 6 weeks and being okay with that because of the alternative?
I think that when it comes to abortion, 6 weeks is enough because as a woman with a child, I can attest to how easy it is to not get pregnant. At the end of the day, having sex is a want, not a need. So before you even get pregnant, as a single mother, if I complain about being a single mama right now, the first thing somebody's going to say to me is, oh, you knew he wasn't shit before you got pregnant. But why can't I tell that to a woman seeking an abortion?
Right. Yeah, it's true.
So we all out here shaming women for messing with dudes they shouldn't be messing with, and that means all of us should stop messing with dudes we shouldn't be messing
That's
with.
correct.
That includes the single mothers and the abortion annies, and that's all I got to say on that.
It is a bit of a double standard, though, when a woman says it's her right to choose, but if a father doesn't want that same child, he's a deadbeat. There's a double standard.
We would never call a woman a deadbeat for getting an abortion.
Exactly. Exactly. But should we?
Deadbeat. Ooh.
All right.
Might ruffle some feathers with that one. All right. On to the next controversial topic: weed. How y'all feel about that?
So we just had somebody in here last week giving a presentation on gangs and drugs in Idaho, and it's a similar problem with other states as well. And when marijuana is legalized, you tend to see society start falling apart. And so what I was trying to say is I don't think that we can easily point to marijuana's legalization as causation for those things, because it's much more complicated than that. Usually those states that end up legalizing marijuana also end up doing a lot of other liberal things at the same time that they're doing that. A combination of all those things end up causing degradation in that state and the moral fabric to kind of fall apart. That being said, for my state, I would say that I would like to keep marijuana to be illegal for recreational use. I don't think that it's a good thing overall in the long run. However, I do understand, very aware that there are a lot of uses for marijuana and hemp that can be used in many, many, many different ways that are very effective and valuable to society. So it's complicated. But one thing that he pointed out is that Oregon has legalized marijuana, and everybody from Boise drives over to the Oregon border to get their weed, and then they come back and they use that marijuana in Idaho, which is probably a whole bunch of other felonies by crossing state lines to do these types of things. But in Idaho, the penalties are pretty severe for possession of marijuana, for the use of marijuana. But what he was trying to say was the gangs are trying to compete with the legal marijuana that's right over the border in Oregon. So what the gangs are doing locally is that they're making the marijuana more addictive by lacing it with other drugs. And so you have people locally here that are now having some serious, serious health problems with their brains and brain development and psychosis and everything, because the marijuana that they're using from gang members is actually much more big deal, a much more problematic drug than simply the marijuana of the old days. A very complicated issue, but for me and my state, I would prefer to keep marijuana to be illegal recreationally.
I'm a bit of a libertarian.
Yeah, go ahead.
I believe in my own freedom and my own choices. I believe that prohibition, just like in the days of the mob, it created the mob. And when you have a vacuum that's not, gangs fill it, just like you said. for that reason, I would have a well-regulated industry to keep people safe, while at the same time allowing
Agreed.
them to choose for themselves if they were to use that or not use that.
I'm like, baby, you own a bar. Is alcohol not the same thing? Does it not have the same effects? Has it not taken more lives?
It's definitely has different effects. Alcohol definitely takes a lot of lives. I was an accident investigator for Beach City Police Department in California, and I went to many scenes of gory crashes and dead bodies from people abusing alcohol. And I get that question a lot, especially from Christian people who say, "Hey, how can you be a Christian, own a bar?" And I said,
drink wine.
I said, Jesus' first miracle was creating wine. He drank wine. It's alcohol consumption in and of itself is certainly not sinful. It's the abuse of it that is.
Exactly
just like
right.
it's a gift. So it's a gift. We have the gift of sexuality. The abuse of that sexuality is sin. We have a gift of alcohol. The abuse of that alcohol becomes sin.
Exactly.
I also respond to them and say, how can a Christian own a restaurant knowing that people are going to come in and eat too much food in that restaurant? Gluttony. And how could a church open its door on Sunday knowing that people are going to show up to the church that day and they're going to gossip in the hallways? And, you know, people pull in the parking lot with a Cybertruck and other people might be jealous of that Cybertruck.
I want a Cybertruck.
Sin happens. Sin
have a
happens
Cybertruck?
everywhere. The fact that people point out alcohol as being, you know, something that's different than another sin like gluttony or jealousy or speaking gossip about somebody, slothfulness. It's alcohol is something that should be done right, and that's the way we promote it to be done here. I really would prefer that nobody ever abused alcohol here and got into the point where they're making bad decisions and they're drunk, doing things that are just total drunkenness. But you know, I can't make decisions for everybody, just like the restaurant owner can't make a decision about somebody coming in and ordering 4 plates of spaghetti.
So
can
everybody
that
make sure
same
you have a
logic-
safe ride home.
So can that same logic not be applied to recreational marijuana usage?
Sure, but I think that we're looking at a society where you can't even think about going back and taking away, you know, alcohol freedoms, and you look at what is happening with places that are legalizing marijuana, and there tends to be a massive, pretty quick degradation of things that happen there. Again, I realize it's very complicated. I'm not just going to blame it all on marijuana being legalized.
No, it's marijuana mixed with moral relativism. It's a decline of the family. And I think it doesn't matter which subject we talk about, whether it's abortion, whether it's that. It's always the fine line we walk between, even the Second Amendment. It's being responsible with those things and not going too far, right? There's a line that we can walk where it is okay, but we have to be responsible. And in a world that tells you there is no truth, there's just your truth, and your truth is different than my truth. Your wrong is my right, and my right is your wrong. That is where we get into trouble. That's where we get into trouble. And when you mix that with the free use of, you know, a narcotic on any level, whether it be alcohol or marijuana or any other, it's a recipe for disaster.
All right, and Maurice, you're the only one. And if you, excuse me, I'm gonna just plug this up. But go ahead.
I mean,
Yeah, I got you.
I don't have much of an opinion about weed. Earlier in my life, I've tried it before, and it has a really negative effect on me personally. It gives me a terrible headache. So I've never understood the benefits of it that everybody seems to have. But it would be difficult to. I don't really care much about it. My state is. I live in Washington State, and it's recreational there. And I would say that one of the benefits of having it legal is that I have a hippie behind the counter selling it to me, as opposed to the cartels and the gang members selling it to my kids in the back alley. Like that, I see that as an actual good thing. So
you don't think that maybe states like Idaho could benefit from the $1 billion in tax revenue if it were to be legalized? I don't know what the school system and like what the infrastructure and stuff out here is like, so maybe I can learn something. But I know that coming from Nevada, after we legalized weed, I mean, we saw the improvement in the quality of things like education, our roads, of course, are pristine, just things like that.
I don't know if those things are all connected.
I mean, but I mean, like the money, they have this tax money that they use for public works. Public works would include keeping your streets clean.
No,
And,
the
I
government
mean,
should get less
Vegas is-
taxes.
If you keep the government small, you don't need all those taxes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Correct. And we stop
So how
sending
are we
our
gonna
money to
shrink the
every place that
government,
ends in
y'all?
stand. What's that?
Mm.
How are we going to shrink the government, y'all? Because people are scared when you say get rid of the Department of Education. People are just terrified when you say get rid of the IRS. People are acting like the world will end
Well,
if we do not have these departments. So
the
go ahead.
IRS. Well, I'll go this far.
The IRS is
The 16th
unconstitutional, but I'm not
Amendment
going to say
never
that.
ratified. Anyone who's ever done any study on this subject can tell you it was never ratified. The IRS is an illegal entity, and as a result, we just saw Kamala co-op Trump's policy for no tax on tips, right?
Yeah.
She was a tie-breaking vote to make sure there were taxes on tips. This is the same exact administration that wanted to hire 87,000 IRS agents and give them all guns to send them after you.
Yes.
Come on.
How much does it cost yearly for those 87,000 agents
Hello.
to equip them and arm them, I guess?
Speak up.
How much do you think it costs yearly for those 87,000 brand new IRS agents? So how much more taxes do they have to take just to have them?
It's amazing because if you're talking about an employee that costs about $50,000 a year, you're going to pay about $80,000 to $90,000 a year to have that employee by the time you pay payroll tax and everything else. So you times that by 87,000. The number is astronomical.
So 100 grand times 87,000 is I don't know. I'm no math genius.
It's
A lot.
astronomical.
Usually.
It's a lot, and
Yearly.
it's unnecessary.
$9 billion, as we've heard from the audience, $9 billion spent every year so that they can find more money to tax you on, or more reasons to tax you on the money you're already paying taxes on.
We went to war for
They got $1 billion. What do they need more taxes for?
You remember
So they get more people to collect taxes from us.
2% tax on a breakfast beverage turned this country upside down at one point. Turned it completely upside down at one point. We had gotten so far away once again from where we were, who we are as a country. The Constitution literally says there shall be no tax made upon your labor. No tax made upon your labor. When you get your paycheck and you look at that little spot right there, federal income tax, they're breaking their promise. They're breaking their promise. They are breaking the rules. But perception is power. So if you believe they have the power to do it, then they do.
Yeah.
Until you say enough. You want everything to stop? Don't go to work tomorrow. Don't pay your taxes. Tell the person who does your payroll, don't take federal tax out. If we all did it at the same time, things would change 10 minutes later.
Uh-oh.
They would be scared to death.
Well, people are doing it.
Yeah.
And like I have, with our family of companies, we have at least 2 employees that I know of that they don't pay taxes at all. One of them hasn't paid taxes in 8 years. And California sent him a letter and said, you need to pay your taxes. And he sent a letter back and said, according to this statute, and this statute, I'm not going to pay taxes. And if you ever contact me again about this, I'm going to charge you $10,000. California never contacted him again. They never contacted him again.
Most people don't know it's an illegal entity. Most people don't know that it's a voluntary thing. But it can get you in deep trouble if you go about it the wrong way. You don't have the right representation.
I was definitely about to say, so come January when I don't file, who got me?
Yeah.
What's up?
Be ready to lose your
Give
license
me
and some more
all
things.
the legal jargon y'all got, because buck that. All right, so you guys, I'm getting a little stuffy. Sorry, you guys. But the last thing I want to touch on, since we're talking about the Constitution a lot, I would just want to talk about patriotism. And
Yeah.
since our friend is here, where is he? Adam.
Where did Adam go?
Only Lord knows. Well, anyway, as you guys know, we have Adam, who is a J6 veteran. And I think that I would have loved to talk to him about it, but I mean, if he's not in here, I'll talk to y'all about it. I guess y'all will do. No, I'm playing. But anyway, just talking about patriotism. Now, when France is upset with their government, they do exactly what we saw on January 6th. When Libya is upset with their government, they do exactly what we saw on January 6th. When China is upset with their government, they do exactly what we saw on January 6th. So why here in America are we being told or being, led to believe that J6ers are terrorists and tyrants? I mean, I'm just saying, y'all watched The Matrix and you sided with the resistance. You watched V for Vendetta and you sided with the resistance. January 6th happened and all of a sudden the resistance is in the wrong. I just want to understand. If somebody can help me understand.
Well, yeah. So the answer is fear of man. People are not standing up for what's right and true because of the fear of man, and that includes the fear that man is going to take away your job, the fear that man is going to take away your money, the fear that man is going to take away some privilege that you have, and so we fall into place. And we don't speak up, and we don't speak up for what's right and true, and we don't shine light on the evil that's out there. Yeah. And we don't do that because of the fear of man. And we need everybody to stop fearing man. You stand up and do what's right no matter what. No matter what the consequence, you stand up and you do what's right. If everybody did that, all of this evil would be over. It starts right in your own backyard. And if everybody in your little town or big city or wherever, if you expose sin and you expose evil, if the school teacher or the principal or the mayor or somebody on city council is doing something evil, you expose it, and you do it without fear that something bad is going to happen to you. And if everybody around our country would do that and do it with confidence, all of this nonsense would stop immediately. That's what we need to do.
I think it's important to add that, yep, y'all give it up. I think it's important to add that, with all the talk of, people need to leave the Democratic plantation or whatever, that's a great point to make because we outnumber all government officials if we all were to come together and say, hey, we don't like this, we're upset, we're pissed off, cut the shit. I mean, what are they going to do? It's 300 million of us and maybe 100,000 of them. This is literally plantation mentality in which you are so scared of the punishment that you'll receive for being somebody who, is resisting, that you'll stay in the status quo to avoid said punishment. And so for slaves, it was either slavery or death. And I feel like a lot of us think that. I feel like a lot more people would have stormed the Capitol if they didn't think that they might be shot or die or anything like that. And I think the left is so upset at J6 because they know that now that people know they won't die, now that they know we pay for the Capitol, that's our house. We showing up if we're upset. And I think that that's the real reason why people are upset about J6. But I do want to hear some more thoughts about why all of a sudden this display of patriotism is being villainized.
It's kind of the same thing. It's kind of the same thing you see at Trump rallies or virtually any, when there's a right-wing movement and they congregate and get together, the media will generally paint it as bad because I feel like there's certain powers that have been trying to subvert the idea of patriotism and the idea that when we get together and work together for our community, that we are actually stronger than them. And they do everything in their power with all of their money they have behind the scenes. They pay the media, and they use certain influencers to push out this information that the patriots are bad. Those people over there are bad. Those are the bad guys. They're the enemy. Meanwhile, both parties for the last 50 years have been screwing all of us over, right? We didn't cause the $35 trillion in debt. We didn't start the war over in Russia that we're paying hundreds of billions of dollars for. We're the ones being targeted, and the media is telling us that it's actually it's your neighbor because they got a different sign on it on their door, or they got a D or an R next to their name. And I believe it's a lot easier to divide the population when they destroy the idea of the bonding that we have over the overarching identity of American. Once that's destroyed and they decide to turn us into little tribal teams, that we are a lot easier to control when we have our neighbors tearing down our businesses in a riot because of something that happened across the country. It's just a way to divide and conquer, and it's a way to keep people scared, and it's a lot easier to create an enemy when you have trillions of dollars of money to throw at these media machines that continuously keep pumping out propaganda to demonize your neighbor so they can keep getting away with exactly what they're doing.
Yeah. And if you, that my thing is, give it up for him.
Clap it up for that. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
give it up for him. Every politician that I've talked to, every congressman, every senator, everyone that we've had this conversation with, and they say, well, who do you think Trump should target when he gets in office? My answer is the same every single time: the media. It's not the left. It's not AOC. It's not the squad, although they are on the hit list, right? It's the media. The media are the ones who elicit a specific emotion from you by presenting the truth in a way in which they use to manipulate you. They tell lies. They are the mockingbird media. We have say that for a very good reason, right? I don't know how many people know this, but Anderson Cooper worked for the CIA before he worked at CNN. It's a true story. Google it right now. Fact check me. The thing is
so
that
Osama bin Laden, tell them that.
the guys that are delivering your information to you are not just journalists, actually being journalists, practicing journalism, telling you the truth. If that were the case, we wouldn't be so popular doing what we're doing. The reason why we're hated and the reason why there is a Section 230 that is levied against us by Meta platforms and TikTok and all the rest is because they deem us as being misinformation because we don't walk the narrative. We don't put the narrative out that they like. They like the things that we say because we're a problem for them, because we do tell the truth. And it's up to each one of us to continue doing that. If we stop telling the truth, if we stop putting these podcasts out, if we stop this march of forward progression, all that happens is the enemy gains more ground. And they're targeting our children, they're targeting our families, and they're doing it intentionally. They're doing it intentionally, cause a division, because separated, we're weak.
Yes.
We're extremely weak.
Some of that is seriously pre-planned. Did some of you see or observe the opening ceremonies of the Olympics?
Oh, yeah.
And that was horrible, right? And so they clearly mocked the painting of the Last Supper.
Yeah.
And then there was a delay, and it's so interesting to watch this all unfold because there's a delay, and they let all the Christians come forward and say, "Oh, you're mocking the Last Supper. This is horrible. How dare you do this? This is an assault on what we believe to be so important and true and biblical." And then they said, "Oh." After they let people make all these comments, they said, "Oh, what are you talking about? This is a Greek thing from the past that we did. This has nothing to do with that." That's called gaslighting. And gaslighting, I think, is one of the tools of the Mockingbird, Operation Mockingbird media. And it's their skill in using that is weakening because people are realizing it, because this cloud of deception that's over our country and over our world is thinning, and we're seeing through it, and it's coming to an end, and people are like, I'm not going to get caught by you telling me that I'm wrong to react this way to something that was clearly blasphemous. So I guess I would just say to encourage you to don't let the media gaslight you. If something's wrong, don't let them try to get you to think and question the reality of the situation. The reality is that this is evil and wrong. Expose it as evil and wrong.
Exactly right.
All right. Now, I'm going to make this my last thing because it might get a little sticky in here. But if you guys were able to deliver a message to Black America in regards to why it's so important that not only do they participate in this election, but they vote red, what would you say?
I
I
got
need
this
to-
one.
okay,
I got
go.
this one.
Oh, you want to start?
I'll
All right,
start.
we're gonna go this
Easy.
way then. Go ahead.
So everybody knows about the 94 crime bill
Yep.
and what Biden did. And what he did was he locked up the hood, right?
And did.
A lot. And
Uh-huh.
all that was left at that point were a lot of people that were there that were on drugs, locked up the drug dealers, gave a lot of them life sentences.
Ooh, locked up the
and
drug
so
dealers and
what
left
he
the
did,
addicts in the hood.
It
You are
left
so
them to raise the children,
right.
Left them
Raise
to
the children, rob the home.
So-
They was doing all that. Go ahead.
What happened is when the First Step Back happened, and all of those same people who have been disenfranchised and ostracized from taking part in this civil process got their right to vote back again.
Because
they
of
voted for
Trump.
the guy who took it away to begin with.
Hello.
So why would you ever be a Democrat and
I don't
vote for
think
the
they
guys holding you
know
down?
that Biden authored the 1994 crime bill. I don't think they know. Honest to God, when I'm out in the community, because I got my start in grassroots, these people don't know that Joe Biden was even a senator. They can't tell you what state he came out of. They've never seen him give a speech on it, like the floor. They've never looked up any of his
That's
C-SPAN
that
clips.
tribalistic
So when it
mentality.
comes to them, you know, Joe Biden calling us super predators or Joe Biden voting against integration and school busing and things like that, people are not aware of this. Yet they'll be the
And-
first to call Trump racist
And giving a speech at Robert Byrd's funeral, gave the eulogy.
and called him a great guy.
A great guy and a mentor, and this guy was a high-ranking member in the KKK.
Yeah, they'll
That's a
tell you
fact.
that Trump is literally the leader of the KKK. Like, I don't get it. Hey, I'm the anomaly, I guess. I don't know. But now, Mr. Mark, if you could speak to Black America, which you're pretty much doing right now, because that's who watching my show, what would you say?
Well, I guess I would say, you know how people say the devil's in the details. A friend of mine, Michael Ridge, reminded me lately that the angels are also in the details.
Ooh.
And when you look at you can go in all kinds of details and talk about what has caused problems for Black America and who's done that and what the objective was for that and everything. And the devil's in those details. But I would say that we should focus on the angel in the details, and that is that we have the same God. And that God is mighty and powerful. And so I would encourage Black America to vote for that which is morally right, for that which is biblical, for that which stands on truth, for righteousness, and to obviously vote and push away that which does the opposite of that. And as far as that I'm concerned, that's going to be your constitutional, conservative, red-leaning type of voting.
Okay, and before we get to you, Maurice, y'all go ahead. Y'all give that up. Before we get to Maurice, because Maurice, you are a fellow minority, I would like to ask the two white men here, what would your answer be to Black people who call you racist for being Republican, or for, you know, the Black people who will say, oh, how can you tell me what I should be voting for? Da, da, da. Like, you got to be racist. Republicans have never done anything for Black people. Like, as two very well-spoken, very well-read men, what would you say to your Black friends?
I was a police officer for 15 years, and it wasn't an unusual thing to pull somebody over. Had no idea who they were until I got up to the window. And if they were Black, occasionally they would say something like, "You're just pulling me over because I'm Black." And I said to them, "You're just saying that because I'm white." And for me, if you're an American, doesn't matter what color you are,
Right.
what original, country your ancestors came from, you're an American, and we need to make decisions for Americans and what's best for America first and protect America first. There's no way that we should be issuing money and cell phones to people illegally coming across the border when our own veterans are suffering the way that they are and need help the way that they're suffering. Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, if you're an American, you're an American. We just need to be talking about what we're going to do as Americans to make this place better.
All right.
Right.
Yep. Eddie, go ahead.
So if we're talking about indoctrination in the classroom, we're talking about the left. If we're talking about illegal immigration and mass illegal immigration, we're talking about the left. Anything that we're standing or fighting against, boys in the girls' locker room, left, boys and girls' sports, the left. I mean, we can just go on. We can make a pretty huge list. So when I would tell them is to look at those things and then measure those against your values, not the color of your skin. If you actually believe that the party who was the anti-slavery party, it was the anti-Jim Crow party, are the ones that you need to be worried about, I would say at least go look at the history and stop letting other people think for you.
Oh, I like that. All right, now Maurice, my fellow minority. What would your message
Maurice
be?
and I are both Native American and white, right?
Anyways, Eddie, Maurice, this your time to shine. So what would your message be to your Black friends who might accuse you of being racist for supporting President Trump or even just being a conservative?
You'd be surprised. Well, maybe you guys wouldn't, but I actually get that quite often. I get called an apple, which is red on the outside, white on the inside. I've been called a race traitor regularly.
What's my favorite one? Say it.
Uncle Tonto.
Uncle Tonto. That's
Now, why
the-
is that your favorite? That sounds racist,
That
Eddie.
is hilarious.
Turn
I don't
your
care who
mic
you
off.
are.
Hey,
Go ahead,
it was
Maurice.
kind of
That's
creative.
hilarious. I don't care who you are.
But I personally believe, and the reason that I promote patriotism so much is because I love this country, and I believe the idea that I was taught that the content of your character matters way more than the color of your skin.
Yes, sir.
I grew up. In a post and pre-racist America. I believe America is a lot more racist
Talking
now
about the 90s.
than it was back when I was born. Because back then I grew up and I was treated as an equal. And if I worked hard, people would recognize that. And if I slacked off, it was the same thing. It mattered about my character. And nowadays, people want to use their skin as either a crutch or a benefit. And I don't think it should be either, because I'm Native American with emphasis on American. That comes first and foremost. My skin, I mean, I don't sunburn very much, which is nice. That
Me and you, man, that's us. Yo. Sorry, y'all. Go ahead.
my heritage is something to be proud of, but I am half white and half Native, meaning that my ancestors conquered my other ancestors. So who should I be more mad at? That I'm alive right now. I am the product of assimilation. I'm the product of integration and desegregation. And I have to believe that, because otherwise I would not exist. And I believe that it was a beautiful thing that happened in this country, that I was able to be born, that my white mother and my Native father got together and made me. And I believe that if we continue down this road of saying that your skin is before you're an American, then we're going to create more division and more problems. I'm an American, the same as all of you guys are, and all of you guys are out there. And I hope that my skin color won't be a benefit to me, and it also especially won't be a crutch. God bless you guys.
So, I said that was the last question, but that kind of opens the door for the DEI conversation.
Yeah.
Now, look, call me a conspiracy theorist, and as the only Black girl in the room, I will say this. I don't like DEI because I feel like DEI wasn't put in place for integration, but more for infiltration, if that makes sense. So, for instance, while back then, I guess when DEI was presented to us, we felt like white people were overrepresented in every facet of America, whether that be business, whether that be real estate, whether that be banking, whatever it was, white people had it. So then we asked for DEI and affirmative action so that we could integrate into those spaces. And we wanted to be equal to you guys, correct? Now, Black people want to have something for themselves. And unfortunately, DEI won't allow them to do that, because DEI allows for now non-Black people to infiltrate what it is you got going on. For instance, in Atlanta, we have the Fearless Fund, which is a Black woman-owned venture capitalist fund that only funds Black women-owned businesses. And she is now in a federal lawsuit because of DEI. So as a Black woman, how do you think that, why would you support DEI when DEI is the very reason why your business cannot succeed? So, as people, and I'm sure we all know, a DEI hire or two who got in and just messed everything up at the office. So, when it comes to the conversation about DEI, And we're not just talking about the, negative connotations that come with it. Like you're not qualified. We're not going to have a Charlie Kirk conversation up here. But I do want to know what your thoughts are on that when it comes to being an American, because everybody here said we're Americans.
Yep.
So how does DEI fit in regards to being an American?
It doesn't. If
Is
you get a
DEI
job, it should
divisive?
be
Tell me.
just based on your merit. If everyone remembers when the college admissions law was changed and the Supreme Court voted on it, and you had to earn your way into college. Erica Marshall was a Biden a part of the Biden administration. She had on her Twitter account, she tweeted out immediately upon this decision being announced that Black people can't compete in a merit-based system. This is what the left thinks.
Racist. Because who the hell told y'all I wasn't smart?
This is literally what she tweeted out. She said Black people can't compete in a merit-based system. She thought that was standing on virtue, helpful, and she was going to be applauded for it. But, her racism was showing, right?
I will say what Mark is doing with or what he did with heterosexual awesomeness month. I believe that's kind of the same route that we would need to go with DEI. And let me explain this a little bit. DEI is looking at people not based on their opportunities, their skills, or their talents, and it's looking strictly at their skin color and judging them based on that. So we're getting talented people from this pool that are getting put into the wrong field because they're not being recognized for their talents. So when they get put in the other field, they do not shine. And you can tell when someone is a DEI hire if they're not really fulfilling what they're supposed to be doing, right? The only way to counteract that is if we wanted to give people opportunities, then it can't be based on race. Because I know for a fact that my poor white neighbor went through the same exact thing that I went through. And there's no way for me to say that I deserve the opportunity more.
Weren't you offered an opportunity at some point for a position?
Yes. Okay. So I was offered to skip ahead of the waiting line in order to become a elevator tech, basically. And there's like a 2-year waiting line. And they basically said, hey, we don't have a Native American, so you can like skip the line. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. I ended up turning it down just because I don't want to work in the city. But
that's my thing with it. I don't understand how anybody could sit there knowing that they don't qualify. And if somebody told me I was getting a job solely based on my color, I would feel like trash. I don't know if I could look myself in the mirror and take the job for the same reason you didn't.
Yeah,
I just couldn't do it.
We're skipping the chance to be able to give people real opportunities because we're too focused on their skin color.
Yeah. Devolving.
Right? Yeah. Like if somebody has a bad opportunity and a brilliant mind or a phenomenal talent, then of course we should reach out and we should give them more opportunities. But that it's not going to be recognized just by saying, okay, there's a couple of brown kids. We're all going to give them grants to get to this particular college. What if they're all good at something else? Dan Nunn, one of the speakers earlier, he owns his own construction company and I mean, if he would have gone into a completely different field and wouldn't have been able to work out that experience, because he started off in Alaska fishing, right? A weird job. But if he was just given, unusual, I'll say, but if he was just given another opportunity,
he terms himself weird.
If he was just given another opportunity to go sit at a desk job and make $100,000 a year because he was white, we'll do the opposite thing. Then he would have never made a construction company because he was just given the opportunity and wasn't able to develop his skills. So we need to go back to an actual merit-based system where if there's a brilliant mind in a bad opportunity, we need to give them opportunities and not just give people stuff because of the color of their skin.
So
I literally don't understand it.
You're against forcing women into the STEM fields.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, y'all, I didn't have any more questions after that. I just wanted to clear up a few things. You hear me? I needed some talking points to go home with. So, unless you guys have any more questions for me, do we have any questions from the audience? Because I'm here, I'm live. in the 485. I don't know. What's your area code? Oops. 208. I don't know nothing that rhymes with that. So no questions from the audience. All right, I see a hand. What's up, girlfriend? Well, you know, Fox News, Newsmax, C-SPAN, they show me a lot of love, but unfortunately, a large majority of our, you know, undecided voters, our young voters are not tuning into those channels. So if we're going to reach an audience that we need to, if we're going to get the information out there in a way that meets people where they are, a podcast was really my only option. And I'm not young like the rest of these young people. I don't know how to click nothing. I don't know how to upload. I don't know what a proxy is, but we're figuring it out because at the end of the day, apparently I'm the voice y'all need to save America. So I'm going to figure out how to get to y'all one way or another. I see a question right here. Great tank top. What you got? Any other questions? No, because I'm about to get down and I'm about to start drinking, so y'all better hurry the hell up.
The answers are about to get weird.
The answers are about to get redonkulous, so I'm going to need y'all to go ahead and... I didn't hear you.
Hey,
Woo!
let's get the other guys over here.
All right, we're going to take a picture. I guess this is going to be me officially signing off. Thank you guys for joining the live conversation with Conserve the Culture. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for being attentive. Thank y'all for staying. Thank y'all for supporting my friend Mark's business. Is your wife here tonight?
She was going to be here. I don't think she's here yet, though.
All right, well, give it up for his wife, too, because you know what? I'm a girl's girl. But anyway, yes, I want to thank you. Oh, now you want to show up.
Yeah.
See, I was going to sign off. But no, if you just have 3 minutes, because I love this guy.
Hey, Michaela,
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say, you know, I said that we're a family now.
Oh,
That-
yeah.
that everything that
What's
got
up,
put together,
cousin?
that we all put together, this is great. We're a family. I want to get everybody on here and congratulate you for your first podcast.
Thank
it
you.
was awesome. It was amazing.
Thank you.
And I just
We're
want to
not
say,
even there yet because Adam enjoyed this.
and then if it doesn't, you know, if it doesn't go our way with this election, we got two things we can do.
Don't say them out loud.
Oh no, I'm not saying. So I could say if we lose this election, you're not the only black woman in the room because I'll identify as a black woman because that's how the Democrats are.
Nah, I'm identifying as a white man and I'm walking into the bank and I'm getting all my loans. But
Yeah,
anyway.
and then
identifying as a white man?
yeah,
No. If for whatever reason things don't go our way in November, yes, I am a white man.
Yeah, why not? You can do it now.
Actually, no, I want to be a white woman. I want to cry and get my way. Yes.
And I'll solve the problem with the gender neutral bathrooms, with boys can use girls' rooms and vice versa. It's XXXY. That's how they're labeled. That's simple.
Because the same
All right,
people
guys,
who were
let's
told,
explode. Everyone
the
get
same
together,
people who told
family.
us to believe the science during COVID, for whatever reason, don't believe the science when it comes to biology. But so as you guys know, earlier I mentioned patriotism, J6, and how ridiculous I think it is that we villainize the people who participated in said demonstration. And we have an actual veteran from that day. Yes, give it up. And so you are here to answer the question when I asked it. So I would like to ask it again. Because patriotism is only villainized in America. So what you experience on January 6th happens in Paris every other month. Happens in Libya every other month. Happens in China whenever they feel safe. So, y'all caught that? Yeah.
That's fair. Yes, better hair.
So, I think I would like to hear your thoughts on why you think Americans are so afraid of being the resistance. And like I said earlier, when we watched The Matrix, we side with the resistance. V for Vendetta, we side with the resistance. But when it comes to January 6th, we are against the resistance. So just tell us a little bit about that and your ideas on patriotism and your experience fighting for your country and being villainized for it.
I think it's very simple. We are comfortable people. We are comfortable people. We don't struggle. We don't suffer. And I can tell you, I know it's supposed to be a red pill. I'm not trying to black pill you guys too much, but there is part of me that believes that these people we can't reach out to, the people that won't change, who like their mindset, even when you show them evidence of truth, these people have not suffered enough. America has not suffered enough to make a change, to come back to God, to come back.
Like Bongino says, it doesn't. Has it sucked enough?
It's, if we want to get back to where we celebrate patriotism, we need to celebrate not our sports stars, not our celebrities. When is the last time you heard someone on the news doing a good thing, being a good person, feeding kids, taking care of families? When is the last time we celebrated that person? We don't. We celebrate immorality. The highest paid jobs out here are people who can catch a ball well. And I can't wrap my head around that. I can't. If we talk about how to get our country back, I think it's very simple. I think we turn off the things, the distractions, the breads and the circuses, and we get involved in our families' lives. We get involved in our community.
Absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree. So when it comes to you fighting for what you believed was right, for what a lot of us believed was right, and being the first to do so since, I don't know, 1776, how does that feel?
I don't think fight's the right word. This was a nonviolent protest. There were 100,000 people that showed up just to say, I don't agree with what's going on. We had questions that weren't being answered. We had ideas, we had theories, we had thoughts that were all just being washed out. And they're telling us to believe our lying eyes. We watched windows being boarded up. We heard about pipes breaking. We heard and saw these things. And we went to show up and say, we have questions. What do? They sent munitions at us.
Yeah.
They gassed us. They sent concussion grenades at us.
Yeah.
And the people who were nonviolent, myself and 800 others, they put us in federal prison for trespassing into a public building that our tax dollars pay for. They hunted us down one at a time.
Yeah.
And it's to tell all of you, you don't have a right to protest. You think you have a First Amendment right. You think you have a Second Amendment right. Look at what they're doing. We're already in the storm. It is already here.
And so, yeah, y'all clap that up. Because I think it's time we change the narrative as to what happened on January 6th, because we need to stop scaring the masses into believing that a resistance is something that we should be afraid of. We have the First Amendment right to peacefully protest whatever cause we want to protest. So the fact that you went to federal prison for exercising your First Amendment right is nuts to me. So,
and they'll take it back. I mean,
they'll do it again.
Yeah.
They'll do it again. So it's unfortunate that you seem very well read. So I would imagine, you know about Cuba and you know about Venezuela and you don't want to see that happen. And we see the deep state doing everything in their power to make that happen. And as somebody who recognized that, and you see how hard the other side will go to prevent a revolution from happening, what do you think the next step is for us patriots from here?
That is a very difficult question. I don't recommend storming the ivory tower. They will put you in prison for a very long time.
They can't lock us all up. How many in here? Let's go.
What I recommend is it's what I said. It is a generational effort. Every election's sold the same way. This is the last election before they take all of our rights, and then everything turns to turmoil. I turned 40 this year. I've heard a lot of elections. While that may be very true for this election, I encourage all of you, go vote Trump. I'm voting for Trump. It is not a 4-year mission that we are on. It is a generational issue that we are on. That is what makes a difference. These people have been at it for 50 years. They are in our institutions. They are in our schools. They are everywhere. And I see a lot of people having the same idea. We have to abandon the institutions. Well, who's left over then? Who runs them? Who has the degrees? Who's in positions of power? Who runs the police force? Who runs the military? Abandoning institutions is taking a step backwards. I say we need to take a step forward. We need to take our institutions back. I don't support retreat in any way possible at all.
Yeah.
The Republicans, the conservatives, were very, very good at looking at a line and saying, you know what? It's just a little bit of line stepping. When is the last time we have drawn a line on their side and said, we're taking our territory back? We are taking our side back.
Yeah.
And when is the last time you've heard a politician actually do that? Not just say that, but do that. When have you seen it? I've seen it in Trump. He is the only president I've ever voted for. Didn't vote in 2016. I voted in 2020. I saw what they did to him. I saw every single musician, athlete, media personality, everyone come against him. And I thought to myself, what is so bad about this? I have more money in my pocket. Gas is cheap. Groceries are affordable. Housing prices are affordable. The American dream is real. It is real. They are afraid of us finding an economy that's not based on war and drugs, because that's how they maintain power. So again, that's my spiel. Go vote Donald Trump 2024.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to make sure y'all heard from the man himself. So, my friend, now that you've joined us for a second, do you have any parting word? Actually, no. Since I have two more white guys up here, let me ask you guys the same question.
So this is not five guys. This is like two white guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're like an inside-out Oreo right now.
I'm not actually white. I'm actually very red. I'm probably more red than Mo is.
Are you a red guy?
Oh.
Oh shit.
I like that.
Yeah.
We got a spread of color, but I mean, unfortunately, people will judge you based off how you look, and you
That's
look
true.
white.
Very handsome.
You look white.
I think he looks good.
So I will ask you guys, what would your message be to Black America when it comes to voting in November?
Oh, okay. I'm gonna take this first. I'm from Washington State, and I've supported Semi Bird big time. He is a true American patriot. He's a veteran, and he also happens to be a black man. And it's weird that the entire time in Washington, it wasn't only the Democrats that were attacking him; it was the establishment Republicans, including Jason Rance and all the Republican media there. So he wasn't just fighting, like the Democrats. He was also fighting the GOP establishment in Washington State, because Washington State is a communist state. I mean, it is. It's a communist state. It's completely deep blue. And but as I got to know him, he had ideas. He was on my show a couple of times, and he had a very explicit platform. And one of the things that really caught my eye was how do you deal with the homelessness problem, which is big also in the minority communities. And he is from the inner cities. He grew up there. And his answer was, we have the National Guard, all right? And they can build cities like that. That's what they're trained to do. That's what they do. So you can take federal land, put facilities there, and bring in not only like draw the people in from the streets, but also train them and give them health care, give them dental care, give them everything they need to go back out in society and be productive. And it was outside of the box sort of approach that I really liked. And he's like, let's not just, no, we shut down these hotels, shut down the all this shit, and just bring them in and train people to do things that are useful. And that's not race related. That's like everybody, right? Because what is color? What is color?
I mean, unfortunately, we can't stop everybody from seeing color. But I didn't think I heard your answer to like, how would you explain to Black America or your Black friends why it's important to vote conservative or in alignment with their values this election? Like, how would you relay that message?
What has changed?
There we go. I like that.
What has
changed? That is a great answer. Yes.
I mean, over decades, in fact.
Yes.
Not just recent history.
Yes,
but decades. What has changed? You keep voting for Democrats, and what has changed? Well, we're just supposed to do that. That's bullshit. That is not critical thinking. That is not taking information in and deciding what you're supposed to do. I don't. If I'm talking to Eric, for instance, a friend of mine in Seattle, a Black dude, he owns a catering business, right? And we sit down for lunch every once in a while. And we have this exact conversation. And he is like, I don't know how to explain to people what is going on, because I'm not going to keep going there, but yet they keep going there. And even he can't explain it. I don't. So I guess my answer is, what's changed? But yet at the same time, they keep doing the same thing. And we were having a conversation earlier, yesterday, in fact, right, where people aren't able to take in the information that they want or that they need to do in order to change their mind, right?
Okay. Do you know who never knows they're in an abusive relationship? The person being abused.
Yes.
Ever. If you want to talk about how to get the Black community aware that they're being abused, you have to convince them first they are being abused. And waking someone up who is being abused, who is being used, right?
Exactly.
And you know this.
Very difficult.
It's very difficult to do that. So how do we reach those people? Well, one, we show them a better way.
Okay.
You show them a grass is greener mentality, right? You don't look. Let's just say at a federal level, it's very difficult. We don't win a presidency, right? But at a state level, whether they're voting for you or not, whether the Black law community is voting for the old white guy in office, should it make a difference about his policy? No, it shouldn't. He should still be interested in Black neighborhoods.
Absolutely.
And giving them what they need. You have to lead by example. You can't just anticipate a vote and not have met their needs and have evidence that you do care ahead of time. You have to make sure that we're not just doing things when we get there. This is Kamala Harris's whole campaign. Well, when I'm in office, you're in office.
On day one.
Right?
Yes, on day one, I'll do
there
this.
are people who have access.
On day one, I'll go after that. Girl, tell Joe Biden to get off his ass and do it right now.
We have politicians that have access right now to make it better for Black communities. Why are they not doing it? If that voting block is so important to you, what are you doing for the Black community? That is my answer.
They're withholding, and then they're going to use hope as a campaign tactic to get those votes.
Exactly. This is very simple. You can't convince someone they're being abused when they're being abused. You can't. What you have to show them is that there's a path that you're not going to be abused at. This is what it looks like.
Clap that up. Yes. Because I know all y'all got at least one Black friend, I hope. All right, so this is going to help you guys with your messaging because I'm noticing the pushback comes from people being like, oh, you don't get it or you don't understand or da-da-da-da. And it's like, all right, that's why if we just talk about the issues, like you said, and let them know, like, they are taking advantage of y'all. They are manipulating your emotions in order to get you to vote for them every 4 years. And then for 3 years, you won't see them. For half a year, they're going to talk about, what's going on in your community. The last half of that year, they're going to say, you need to vote for me again so that I can fix what I know is wrong, what I knew was wrong when I ran the first time. Because Kamala Harris has the same talking points as she did when she ran the first time. Saying, I'm going to fix this for you. 3.5 years later, we have nothing. But she's saying, hey, on day one, I'm going to fix this for you. I don't know how to get out of that. It's like, I'm Black myself and folks won't listen to me. So that's why I'm like, maybe y'all know some information and statistics. I don't, because golly.
I have a question. Is she on fire? Is she fire or what? I have a question for you, though. And that is, so, you asked me, how do I convince my Black friends? How do you convince your Black friends?
Well, my Black friends know me, and I've been in the community for quite a while. So when I actually started interning at the GAGOP and working underneath President Trump's administration. This was 2018. This was long before anybody found me in a Chick-fil-A. And I would go to class and I would be like, yeah, I'm working with the GOP. And they'd be like, oh, really? Why? And then I just tell them, well, I think school choice is, pretty cool. I think we should hear them out.
Good idea, right?
I think infrastructure is something we should pay attention to. Y'all keep complaining about potholes. Well, maybe we should look at the infrastructure, And so I didn't get all the pushback and bullying that I'm getting now. We are 10 times more divisive now than we were 6 years ago. And if this lady wins 10 years from now, we're literally going to be in the midst of a civil war. Because there's no way in hell folks are going so hard in regards to making sure they spew their hatred for one person. So much so that they refuse to hear why you would even vote for them. I'm not voting for a person. I'm voting in alignment with my values. I'm not supporting a party. I'm supporting policies. And so when I'm talking to the Black community, yeah, y'all go ahead. But when I'm talking to the Black community, that's what I talk about is I'm not voting for Trump. I'm voting for my child. I'm voting to make sure my daughter can fairly participate in school sports. I'm voting to make sure that these believe the science people stick to that narrative when it comes to biology. I'm voting to make sure that personal accountability is no longer a thing that we victimize people for. Baby, if you get pregnant, you knew what the hell you was doing when you was humping. Therefore, I don't want to hear you complain when you can't get an abortion. Sucks to suck, but baby, again, I tout all the time, I'm fine as hell. You think that I can't get sex? You know how easy it is to just say no? And then look at me, I only have one child because of such. So if you don't want to have a baby, you're just not gonna have sex. I refuse to believe that sex is a need. It's a want, and it's not something that you need to do to survive.
Okay, so
I disagree. I have 5 kids and
But you're married, baby. That's how it's supposed to be. But right now, me as a single person, I shouldn't be out here humping every man that asks me to hump. And then I get upset when, oh God, I'm pregnant. Now I have to go get an abortion. Actually, I didn't have to hump every man in the office who told me I was cute.
Amen. I mean, I think,
So when I'm
takeaways
talking
for
to the
that,
community, that's what I discuss. Personal responsibility. Black people, and that's why I brought up earlier,
Right.
Black people will be the first to tell me, a single mother, if I complain about being a single mother, that I knew the man wasn't shit before I got pregnant. Yet if I tell a woman seeking an abortion, you knew he wasn't shit before you got pregnant, all of a sudden I'm the villain. Baby girl, if we both shouldn't have been messing with this dude, then why do you get a pass and I don't?
ooh.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. The person who accepted her responsibility, the person who understood the consequences of her actions, is the one that's criticized more than the person who ran away from their responsibilities.
So
You can't get me to respect
Wow.
that.
Look at this.
I raised my baby all by myself with no family, and I give it. It is not the ideal situation. I have to make a lot of sacrifices, but again, that victim mentality does not apply to me because I know it was hard for me to find a job and I didn't have childcare. So you know what I did? I started a business. So then I didn't have to work for anybody and I could take care of my kid.
Consequences, like individual responsibility.
Personal responsibility and accountability would end the abortion debate.
Yeah, weird.
And that's just how I feel.
Well, I think you covered all the bases.
Thank you.
I know, right? They're like all there.
Miguel, I got to do one more bomb here.
Okay, go ahead. Talk to me.
I want to give a shout out to my wife Heather, couldn't make it.
Hey, Heather girl, how you doing?
She wants your number, by the way.
Okay.
So I think you guys get along great.
Okay,
So I
yeah.
wish she was here right now, but she thinks you're awesome. But
Thank you.
for starting the
Miss
podcast.
Kayla is a real girl's girl. So last thing, in case you guys didn't hear me emphasize this at the Trump rally down in Atlanta, Georgia, because I know abortion is a touchy subject, right? So when it comes up on the left side, they'll tell you that you need to protect your medical freedoms, that you need to have a say-so when it comes to your own body, right? Where was that narrative when the vaccine was pushed out? Where was my access to medical freedom when you were telling me that I was going to lose my job if I didn't get the jab? Where was the protection of my medical freedoms when you told me that my child couldn't go to school unless they got the jab? How were we protecting my medical freedoms if I didn't have the choice as to whether or not I wanted to participate in this experiment and then take this experimental vaccine and see if it worked? Where was the protection of my medical freedoms then? That's all. So if anybody want to argue with you about abortion, you tell them your answer to that is COVID. Because clearly the other side does not give a damn about your medical freedoms. They give a damn about being able to control you. And unfortunately, abortion is one of the main concepts when it comes to population control. Now, I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole. But abortion isn't for the benefit of you. It's 1,000% for the benefit of them. And that's all I'm going to say on that.
All right, let's have that question. What you got? What you got?
I got a quote to share with you.
All right.
So this is something I read. It made me so sick to my stomach. But this one girl came forward and said, I cannot live without sex. I hate condoms. I'm allergic to birth control.
Whose fault is that?
Thank God there's a Planned Parenthood nearby.
All right. The first place she lost me is I can't not have sex.
Yeah.
So anything that comes after that, I don't care. I don't give two shits, baby girl. Whatever happens to you is your own doing. And therefore you will have to deal with such accordingly. So if you feel like, oh God, I can't not have sex and condoms don't feel good and I'm allergic to birth control. Are dildos not available on Amazon? I'm sorry, but if I wanted pleasure that bad, I could get 3 pieces of pleasure right now, overnighted to me for less than $100. Get the hell out of here. And that costs less than an abortion. Thank you very much.
Have you ever considered a career in stand-up?
I thought about it, but I got to be talking. I can't just write something and be like, let me deliver these jokes. It just comes to me like that.
Amazon won't cover the cuddles afterwards, though, and that's really what.
Oh, that's why you buy a pregnancy pillow.
So you get a pillow
Next,
with the.
You get the pillow, you get the dildos, and then with the money you have left over, maybe you can get yourself a
Bases covered.
rom-com.
We got to wrap it
that
up.
you can
We
rent
got to
on
wrap it up,
Amazon
folks.
Prime. Yes.
So there are
But-
T-shirts. There are T-shirts. Vote for America, right here.
Y'all see the merch?
Prayer. We got merch. And we're giving it away for free, right?
Yes. Yeah. If you would like a T-shirt.
So we have free shirts up front. Again, this is the Patriots Prayer Network. All of these lovely people have their own show. I will be, casting on Wednesdays because on Wednesdays we wear pink. I wore red for y'all, but I'm a pink girl. So just look out for the pink one. Thank you again. I am Michaela Montgomery. I appreciate all of y'all for being so engaged, so lovely, so wonderful.
This is the Patriots Prayer Podcast. It's a tremendous show, one of the greatest shows in the history of the world.
This is Bryson Gray, and you are watching the Patriots Prayer.
Soon on the Patriots Prayer Network. Thank you all.